Meditation and Spiritual Life, Swami Yatiswarananda. Duties of the householder. In the Hindu scheme of social life, the householder is looked upon as the mainstay of society. It is necessary that children should be taught to contribute to the general welfare and security of the society. It is written in the Manu Smriti, just as all living beings depend upon air for their existence, so also people belonging to other stages of life depend on the householder for their sustenance. Yatha vayum samashritya sarve jivanti jantavah तथा गृहस्थमाश्रित्य वर्तन्ते सर्व आश्रमाः. Manusmriti. However, the householder's life is not considered to be one given to sense pleasures. In Sri Krishna's advice to his disciple Uddhava, this point is stressed again and again. Always the householder must remember that the ideal good lies not in enjoyment but in the attainment of knowledge as the individual life becomes part of the cosmic whole. A devotee, having worshipped the divine spirit through the householder's duties, through the household duties, may retire to the forest to devote himself entirely to spiritual disciplines and purify his heart. Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. So, going back, Grihastha Dharma does not imply a life of enjoyment, but again, to realize that I am part of the cosmic whole and attain that knowledge, realization that I am not an individual separate from everything else. My actions, my thought processes should align to that. So, that is what the ideal of a householder could be. Secondly, a devotee, having worshipped the divine spirit through the household duties, means the divine spirit present in everyone around us. If I worship the divine spirit, maybe the child requires something, maybe the parents require something, maybe the relatives, maybe the friends require something, whatever, fulfilling that requirement in the spirit of worship in Grihastha Dharma can take up Vanaprastha, that is retiring into forest. So this clarity is also given in Bhagavatam. According to Hindu scriptures, the householder has 5 kinds of duties to discharge. These are: one is worship of God, the ritualistic worship; second, study of scriptures, duty to the ancient sages; then helping fellow beings; fourth, offering oblations to ancestors; and fifth, protecting animals. These duties are called Panchamahayagya, the great fivefold sacrifices. So, if I think a householder's duty is simply to earn and relish, so it is very narrow. Rather, worshipping God is the duty, not just an obligation, like for 5 minutes we do study of scriptures. Again, one Mahayagya, equal weightage given to that. Helping fellow beings, equal weightage to that. Oblations to. So, being mentally offering oblation just not physically but also mentally, I am respectful My actions are oriented so that I don't spoil uh, my ancestors' heritage and lineage. So, and protecting animals. So, being aware and conscious of all these things, that's what the Hindu scriptures prescribe for a householder. These duties are Panchamahayagya. All these duties are to be performed not as a drudgery, ah, but in a spirit of service, in a spirit of worship of the divine spirit. When one discharges one's duties in the spirit only, then only they do not, then only these duties won't lead to bondage. Otherwise, name, fame, jealousy, hatred, egotism, and all these things will come as a byproduct of so called duties. So it is very clear. These duties is a means of worship. How? If the animal I am doing seva, the animal is the divine spirit in the form of an animal. Let me worship what it requires: food, maybe tending to, and all those things. So, all these duties help a householder worship the divine, not just sitting in the temple, but in the world at large. So, that is the idea. On the contrary, they help one in spiritual life also. Naturally, if I am practicing worshipping the divine in all the things around me, it is a spiritual practice. Vedanta aims at integrating duty, service, and worship. So, what I am calling as duty, it is actually serving and worshipping the divine. If an activity cannot be linked with our spiritual life, it is not to be called duty. It is rather bhoga or vasana or something, not duty, not dharma. That becomes adharma. If you find that a particular work is dragging you away from God, do not do it. So, if you find a particular work is dragging you away, now this prescription for whom? Who is intent, whose intention is seeing the divine in everything. For that person, if a particular work for whatever reason is not conducive, he must refrain from it. He must use his viveka, vichara to find way not to, for example, a particular work, maybe mm, anything, it's not making him see the divine in it, although everything is divine. If you see Mahakali, Shiv, they they live in the Shmashana. But if I go there with a mind who is afraid or who is unable to see the divine in that place, then it is not to be prescribed for such a person to go into Shmashana. But for an advanced sadhaka, doing sadhana in Shmashana is prescribed. So, similarly, if you find a particular work as a householder, it is dragging you away from the thought of God, do not do it. All kinds of work must take us nearer and nearer to God. As Sri Krishna tells Uddhava in the Bhagavatam, once again, he who worships me constantly and steadfastly through the performance of his duty, knowing me as the supreme goal, Such a one becomes endowed with knowledge and realization and soon attains to my being. All duties, if accompanied by devotion, if and only if accompanied by devotion to me, lead to liberation. And that is duty, else it is not duty. A karma, rather. That is the way to blessedness. Bhagavatam.